Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another Warframe video. I have to stop doing this with my hands whenever I record. It's really annoying to edit out. Anyways, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about an Octavia video that I made a while back. As I've been told, there were quite a few things wrong with that video, so I wanted to address those mistakes today, as well as give you guys an updated build for her, since I have changed my setup a bit since making that video. So let's get into it. So first off, the intro was way too long. I get it, I'm sorry, and to be completely honest, before that video was even out, I showed it to a couple friends of mine, and my friend Dario did warn me about it being too long, but out of laziness, I left it in, so for that, I apologize. Secondly, I failed to mention a lot of the reasons why Octavia is such a good Warframe. I just said, is she good? Please use. So I figured I'd do her some justice by explaining the playstyle behind her and everything like that, her strengths, her weaknesses, etc. So Octavia has two main parts to her game plan. The first is to take control of an area with the combination of her 1 and her 4. Her 1 creates an aggro bubble that makes enemies kill themselves, no matter their level, because it scales with the damage that's being pumped into it. And since all of Octavia's abilities can be recast or refresh their duration, this is pretty much permanent pseudo CC with infinitely scaling damage. Plus, the range on it is absolutely insane, especially due to her 4. So she's only good at controlling one area, right? You young naive child. Her 2 makes it so that her 1 can move around, following you wherever you go or wherever there are any enemies. So essentially, it's a roaming circle of death. It's a bit harder to make use of her 4 with this, but if you have decent ability range, it will make do just fine. This isn't the most ideal thing ever, though, because sometimes the ball will just do God knows what and leave you alone at times, but generally speaking, it will do its jobs in missions where you need to move around and aren't just confined to one area. Especially if you're not a fan of camping and like really high-level survival missions, you'll probably be using this. It's great to draw aggro away from your team and yourself, since it encompasses such a large area, and of course, to wipe out rooms even faster. The second part of her game plan is making herself into an untouchable ball of death. Her 3 lets her be permanently invisible, pretty much, while simultaneously buffing the crap out of yourself and your entire team with multi-shot, melee damage, move speed, and energy, as long as they're near you, of course, which we can help by having significant range. These buffs are insane already, but why don't we activate our 4 and make them even more insane? Exactly. So that's pretty much it for her playstyle. Having more than 2 brain cells isn't really required to play her well, but it is pretty rewarding. Because being honest, guys, you can just activate your 1 and your 3 and then just brainlessly slide melee everything, like literally anything. For 99% of all missions, you can simply just do this with any long-range melee weapon. But it isn't the only thing that she can do. She is not a one-trick pony by any stretch of the imagination. Now, as for her weaknesses, she isn't very tanky, like at all. She doesn't have much health, shields, or armor, so some stray AoE bombard missile that hits a wall or something will more often than not one-shot you, but only in the very high end of enemy levels. And that's it. Literally, she has no other weaknesses. So before I show you guys the build, I want to show you the song that I use for Octavia. This is a different one than the one I used in the past. It's just a funky version of Darude Sandstorm. But the good thing about this song is that it's fast enough so you can jump, run, shoot, and slide wherever you want, whenever you want, and still stack every buff. But it's also nice enough that you won't want to rip your hair out after playing it for an hour, at least for me personally. So please keep in mind that if you just want a pure min-max Octavia build and you don't care about having a cool little song, all you have to do is activate every single node and mute the damn thing if you want to preserve your sanity. But I really like having some cool little tunes, some nice music, since that is the theme of this Warframe, and I really like it. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave the song playing so you guys can see every note in each one of the 4 chords, and recreate it for yourself if you want to. Okay, nice. Now let me show you guys the build. She needs a little bit of everything, and that's already too much, you know what I'm saying? So for the aura mod, I have a corrosive projection to help her with enemy armor, since she doesn't really have any innate armor shred, really. I then have prime flow for her really nice energy pool. I have Prime Continuity and Constitution for duration, Stretch, Augur Reach, and Cunning Drift in the Excella slot for range, Streamline to help with our efficiency so we can recast our abilities more often with no problems. I then also have Transient Fortitude for the most amount of power strength we can get with the least amount of detriments, because Blind Rage is a no-no. And finally, I have Quick Thinking to completely counter any random AoE from one-shotting you. As for arcanes, you can use whichever ones you have, but I opted for an Arcane Energize because it's insane and it synergizes perfectly with Octavia, and then Arcane Fury for some extra melee damage. But if you have Arcane Grace or Arcane Strike, those are pretty good on her too. Although the build doesn't look all too insane, it's literally all you need to murder your way through the endgame. For my primary, I use the Tigris Prime, just in case there's a flying enemy or something I can't easily reach or one-shot with my melee. My Tigris is set up for 100% status, and yes, this is actual 100% status, you math lords. I have it set up for Radiation Viral, for some extra pseudo CC as well, and to cut off any unarmored enemies' HP in half, which will make them even squishier. And then I have Sweeping Serration to bias my status procs for Slash. And I have Vigilante Armaments as well, but you could swap this out for Seeking Fury if you wanted to. It's up to you. My secondary is the Axolotl Prime. These are set up with 100% status chance as well, however these are for Corrosive Blast. So this is another form of cheap CC as well, but these are mainly utilized for armor stripping. My melee is the Guandao, only really because I have this insane Riven for it that has built-in electricity and Maiming Strike, so I can spec for corrosive on this as well, but this is just a classic Maiming Strike build. You can use pretty much whatever long-range melee you want, a Guandao, Orthos Prime, Atarax, even the Gram Prime if you wanted to, but I only really recommend you run Gram Prime with an Arcane Strike, Primed Fury, and Berserker, because that thing is hella slow. For my companion, I have Death Cube, and since I have Arcane Energize, I run him with his Energy Generator Augment / Precept mod. Basically, after 10 assists, he drops an Energy Orb on top of me, and that Energy Orb actually can proc Arcane Energize, and this just ensures that I basically never run out of energy, which means I get to always have my buffs procced and my abilities up, and since I have Quick Thinking, that also means I can never die pretty much. So once I max out Primed Region, I'll slap it on here, but a normal region will do you just fine for the time being, in case he ever gets one shot or something like that. That was my phone, not yours. Don't worry about it. If you don't have Arcane Energize, then run a shield regen setup on your Helios. That's what I used to run with him before I got this precept. Since you don't really need Taxon, really, you won't be targeted ever, since you're always going to be invisible. And the Helios precept to mark weak spots is pretty useful from time to time on tanky enemies. And that's about it, guys. That's my Octavia loadout. Hopefully I've moved you to give her a tryout for yourself. I don't know why, but nobody uses this Warframe, which is why I think she's never gotten nerfed. Actually, yeah, never mind. Don't use her, please. She's trash. I was just kidding. But seriously, though, I hope I made right by those who called me out on my mistakes in my previous Octavia video. And as always, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support you've been giving the channel, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Take care.